Have you ever stopped to think about how many times your own words have turned against you? How many times have you shared something deeply personal and later regretted it bitterly? The truth is that there's a kind of wisdom the ancient Stoic philosophers mastered, one that can protect you from unnecessary suffering. Today, I'm going to reveal 7 powerful secrets you should never share with anyone. And believe me, the final revelation is so impactful, it can completely transform how you relate to the world. Stay until the end, because what I'm about to share could change your life forever. Before we begin this journey of self-discovery, do one thing for me. Subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. Why? Because what you're about to learn isn't taught in schools or universities. These are ancient truths, tested over thousands of years, and they still work perfectly today. And I promise, every second of this video will be packed with surprising insights. Let's get straight to the point. The Stoics, philosophers like Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, and Epictetus, understood something fundamental about human nature. Not everyone deserves access to your plans, dreams, and vulnerabilities. They knew that strategic silence is a powerful weapon. And today, you're going to learn exactly what you should keep to yourself. The first thing you should never tell anyone: your grand future plans. You know, that incredible project you're working on, that brilliant idea that could change your life. Keep it to yourself. Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher emperor of Rome, wrote in his Meditations that we should act quietly, without seeking external approval. Why? Because when you share your plans too early, 3 terrible things happen. First, you drain the energy that should be invested in execution. Every time you tell someone about your plan, your brain releases dopamine, the pleasure hormone, as if you'd already achieved the goal. You feel a false sense of accomplishment and lose part of the motivation to actually do the work. It's like celebrating a victory you haven't earned yet. Second, you open the door to envy and sabotage. Not everyone wants to see you win. That's a hard truth, but a necessary one. Some people smile to your face while secretly rooting for your failure. When you reveal your plans, you give ammunition to those who may plant doubts in your mind, discourage you, or even steal your ideas. Third, you expose yourself to unnecessary and destructive opinions. Everyone has an opinion, but not every opinion is constructive. When you share your dreams with people who don't share your vision, they'll project their own fears and limitations onto your plans. They'll say it's unrealistic, that you're not capable, that you should play it safe. And those words can plant seeds of doubt that sabotage your journey before it even begins. Epictetus was emphatic: work in silence and let your success make the noise. Think about the great entrepreneurs and innovators who changed the world. They didn't go around telling everyone what they were about to do. They did it, and when the results showed up, the whole world noticed. Imagine this scenario. You decide to start your own business. You're excited, energized. At a family gathering, you tell everyone. One relative says it's too risky. Another mentions someone who tried and failed. Someone else asks why you don't just stick with the safety of a steady paycheck. By the end of the day, your excitement has been cut in half. Doubts start creeping in, and all of that could have been avoided if you'd simply kept your plans to yourself until you had real results to show. Seneca reminds us that the crowd is the worst counselor. Most people live average lives, repeating patterns and following the herd. Why would you seek their approval for extraordinary dreams? The answer is simple: you shouldn't. Now pay close attention, because this is crucial. Keeping your plans private doesn't mean being closed off or arrogant. It means being strategic. It means protecting your dreams until they're strong enough to withstand external storms. It means working behind the scenes while others are busy talking. Think of a seed. When you plant a seed in the ground, it needs protection, darkness, and time to grow. If you keep digging it up every day to see if it's growing, you'll kill it. Your plans are seeds. They need silence, focus, and consistent action to flourish. When the time is right, when the tree is strong and full of fruit, everyone will see it. But until then, protect your seed. Can you feel the power of this first revelation? And this is only the beginning. The second thing you should never tell anyone is about your good deeds and acts of generosity. This may sound contradictory. We live in an era where everything is shared, documented, and showcased on social media. But the Stoics had a completely different perspective on this, and it's absolutely revolutionary. Marcus Aurelius practiced charity in silence. He helped people, distributed resources, changed lives, without seeking public recognition. Why? Because he understood something profound about human nature and true virtue. When you help someone and then broadcast your goodness, you corrupt the purity of the act. You turn something noble into a transaction. I help, and I receive recognition in return. Think about it carefully. What's the real motivation behind helping someone and then telling the whole world about it? Is it truly about helping, or is it about feeding your ego? Is it about changing someone's life, or collecting praise and approval? The answer is uncomfortable, but necessary. When you need others to know about the good you've done, you're no longer doing it for the person in need. You're doing it for yourself. Seneca wrote something powerful about this. True generosity doesn't seek witnesses. It happens quietly between you and the person being helped. When you help someone and keep it private, you preserve their dignity. You prevent them from feeling exposed, ashamed, or publicly indebted to you. The help stops being a favor and becomes an act of pure humanity. But there's an even deeper layer to this. When you publicize your good deeds, you invite hypocrisy into your life. People begin to expect a certain standard from you. You become a prisoner of your own image as a good person. And when you fall short, when you have a bad day, when you can't help someone, the pressure comes. The criticism follows. You've built a prison of expectations around yourself. On top of that, publicizing your generosity attracts envy disguised as skepticism. People will question your motives. They'll say you're doing it for personal branding, attention, or validation. And even if your intentions are pure, public perception alone can damage your reputation. You expose yourself to judgments that would never exist if you had simply remained silent. Let me give you a practical example. Imagine you financially help a friend who's going through a hard time. You don't tell anyone. That friend recovers, their life improves, and between the two of you, there's a bond of genuine private gratitude. Now imagine the opposite scenario. You help the same friend, but you mention it to others. Word spreads. Now that friend carries the weight of being known as someone who needed help. They feel exposed, diminished. What could have been a story of resilience turns into a mark of shame. The Stoics understood that true virtue is quiet. It doesn't need a stage. It doesn't need an audience. It exists for its own sake, in the conscience of the person practicing it. When you do good in secret, you strengthen your character. You train your mind to act correctly, not because you'll be praised, but because it's the right thing to do. Here's something few people realize. Keeping your good deeds to yourself frees you from the need for external validation. You begin to act according to your values, not other people's expectations. You become genuinely free. Free from the addiction to likes, comments, and praise. Free to be good simply because you choose to be. Epictetus teaches that what's under our control is our intention and our actions. External recognition is not, and therefore should never be the goal. When you truly internalize this, when you understand that the reward of a good action is the action itself, you reach a level of emotional maturity that very few people ever achieve. So next time you help someone, try keeping it just to yourself. Feel the quiet satisfaction of knowing you made a difference without needing recognition. Notice how it changes something within you, how it makes you stronger, more grounded, more authentic. If you're finding value in this content so far, hit the like button now. It helps others discover these powerful ideas. And trust me, what's coming next is even more impactful. You won't want to miss it. The third thing you should never share with anyone is your family problems and intimate conflicts. This is one of the hardest lessons to learn, but also one of the most important. Let me explain why, because this can completely change the way you handle your personal relationships. When Marcus Aurelius faced challenges in his marriage or conflicts within his own imperial family, he didn't go around broadcasting those issues to senators or the royal court. He protected the dignity of his household, and this wasn't about pride or hiding problems. It was about strategic wisdom and respect for the people involved. Understand this: every family has problems. Every relationship has friction. That's part of the human experience. But the moment you expose those issues to outsiders, you set off a chain of consequences that can destroy relationships beyond repair. First, people never forget what you tell them about others. You might argue with your brother today and vent to a friend about how he hurt you or acted unfairly. Tomorrow, you and your brother reconcile, things go back to normal, and the issue is resolved. But that friend you confided in, he will carry that negative image of your brother forever. Every time he sees him, he'll remember that story. He'll judge, create distance, and plant subtle comments that slowly poison your family relationship. Second, when you expose family problems, you betray the trust of the people who matter most in your life. Your family and your closest relationships exist within a circle of trust. What happens inside that circle should stay there. When you break that boundary, you send a clear message. I can't keep things private. I'm not trustworthy. I use our problems as entertainment for others. Seneca warned us about this with crystal clarity. Never turn private matters into a public spectacle. People love hearing about other people's problems. It makes them feel better about their own lives. When you share your family conflicts, you're serving your life on a platter for judgment, speculation, and gossip. And once those words leave your mouth, you lose all control over them. Think about how many relationships have been destroyed because one side talked too much to outsiders. A couple argues, and each person goes to friends or relatives to tell their version of the story. Very quickly, those friends and relatives take sides, create resentment, and fuel the conflict instead of helping resolve it. What could have been a private disagreement turns into a public drama with an audience and cheerleaders. There's also an even harsher truth. People like to see you suffer, even if they'd never admit it. When you share family problems, some will offer genuine support, but many will feel a quiet sense of satisfaction. They'll think your life isn't as perfect as it seemed. They'll compare your problems to theirs and feel relieved. And they'll store your confidences as material for future conversations when you're not around. Epictetus teaches something fundamental here. Keep your inner garden well tended and protected. Your closest relationships are that garden. When you allow outsiders to walk through it with their opinions, judgments, and poorly informed advice, you trample something precious. Now, I know what you might be thinking. But what if I need to vent? What if I need advice? The Stoic answer is clear. Seek an impartial professional, a therapist or counselor who has no personal ties to the people involved, someone trained to listen without judgment and guide, without taking sides. Don't dump your family problems at a bar. Don't turn your pain into a social media post. Don't turn your friends into judges of your relationship. And here's something powerful. When you resolve family issues quietly, you strengthen those relationships. You show that no matter what happens, loyalty and respect come first. You create an environment where people feel safe to be vulnerable, to make mistakes, and to grow, because they know their failures won't be exposed to the world. Imagine the trust you build when your spouse knows that even in the worst moments, you will never go out and speak badly about them. Imagine the respect your children will have for you when they realize you protect the family's privacy above all else. That creates unbreakable bonds. Marcus Aurelius wrote that we should be like a rock against which the waves continually crash, yet it remains standing and calms the waters around it. Your family problems are waves hitting you. If you stay firm, silent, and work internally to resolve them, you become that rock. But if you spread those problems everywhere, you become just another wave, creating turbulence and chaos. So here's the principle. Treat the matters of your home as sacred. Protect the dignity of the people you love. Resolve conflicts within the circle of trust. And if you need outside help, seek qualified professionals, not audiences hungry for drama. If you made it this far, write in the comments, "I protect my family." I want to see how many people truly understand the value of this Stoic wisdom. The fourth thing you should never reveal to just anyone is your personal weaknesses and vulnerabilities. Now pay close attention, because this goes against everything modern culture tries to teach you. We live in an era that romanticizes vulnerability, preaches total transparency, and tells you to open yourself up completely. But the Stoics understood something our society has forgotten. Not everyone deserves access to your weaknesses. Marcus Aurelius was the most powerful man in the known world in his time, yet he had fears, insecurities, and deep doubts. We know this because he wrote about them in his Meditations, but that work was a private journal, never intended for publication. He didn't go around sharing his vulnerabilities with senators, generals, or the Roman public. Why? Because he understood a fundamental principle of human nature. People use your weaknesses against you. This isn't cynicism, it's realism. When you reveal your vulnerabilities to the wrong people, you're handing them weapons that can be used to hurt you when you least expect it. It might happen in a future argument, through subtle remarks that undermine your confidence, or through gossip that twists your weaknesses into fatal flaws in the eyes of others. Let me give you concrete examples. You tell a coworker that you struggle with public speaking and that it makes you anxious. Months later, when a promotion opportunity comes up that involves presentations, that co-worker subtly mentions to the boss that you wouldn't be the best choice because you have issues with public exposure. Your vulnerability just became a competitive weapon. Or you tell a group of friends that you had financial struggles in the past and that it deeply affected you. Later, whenever you choose a more affordable place to hang out, someone jokes, "Oh, he's worried about money again." Your vulnerability turns into a joke, a label, a limitation that others constantly project onto you. Seneca warned us, keep your inner battles to yourself. Don't invite spectators into your moments of weakness. This doesn't mean pretending to be perfect. It means being selective, extremely selective, about who you share your real vulnerabilities with. There is a huge difference between being authentic and being naive. Authenticity is living according to your values and being true to yourself. Naivety is believing that everyone will treat your vulnerabilities with the respect and empathy they deserve. The hard truth is that many people won't. Some will use them against you, others will judge you, and some will simply lose respect for you. There's something even more dangerous. When you overshare your weaknesses, you condition yourself to be weak. You build an identity around your limitations. You become the person who always has problems, who always needs help, who is always struggling with something. And the more you reinforce that narrative publicly, the deeper it embeds itself in your psyche. Epictetus, who was a slave before becoming a philosopher, understood this better than anyone. He endured suffering most of us can't even imagine, yet he didn't define himself by his weaknesses or past pain. He defined himself by his resilience, his inner strength, and his philosophy. He kept his inner battles private and showed the world only the strength he had forged. This doesn't mean repressing your emotions or denying your problems. It means processing them internally or with qualified professional help, not with the first person who shows curiosity. Deep psychological issues, childhood trauma, deeply rooted insecurities, these require a safe, professional, and confidential context. Think of it this way: your vulnerabilities are like passwords to your emotional system. Do you give those passwords to just anyone? Of course not. You're extremely careful. In the same way, your emotional weaknesses are direct access points to what can destabilize and hurt you. Why would you give that access to people who may not have your best interests at heart? On top of that, keeping your vulnerabilities private preserves your perceived strength, and perceived strength is real. It allows you to negotiate from a position of power, earns respect, and creates opportunities in your life. When you constantly expose your weaknesses, you undermine that strength. Marcus Aurelius practiced what he called an inner citadel, a mental sanctuary no one could invade, where he processed his fears and worked on his weaknesses without allowing the outside world into that sacred space. You need to build that sanctuary too. And when you truly need to talk about something difficult, choose with extreme care. Choose someone who has proven their loyalty through years of genuine friendship. Choose a trained, ethical professional. Choose someone who has nothing to gain from your weakness. And even then, be cautious about how much detail you share. Stoic wisdom isn't about being cold or closed off. It's about being strategic and self-protective. It's about recognizing that the world isn't always kind. People aren't always trustworthy, and you have a responsibility to protect yourself emotionally. So the next time you feel the urge to share a deep vulnerability, pause. Ask yourself, does this person really deserve this access? Could this information be used against me? Am I seeking genuine help or just temporary validation? Based on those answers, make the wisest decision. Remember, your strength doesn't come from pretending you have no weaknesses. Your strength comes from working on your weaknesses in private and showing the world only the results of that work. Show the transformation, not the process. Show the victory, not the struggle. Be the inspiration, not the cautionary tale. We're approaching the most powerful revelations. Stay with me, because what comes next will completely change the way you communicate. The fifth thing you should never share with anyone is your material and financial achievements. This is one of the most counterintuitive lessons, and also one of the most liberating once you truly understand it. And I'm going to show you exactly why this can transform your relationship with success and with the people around you. Seneca was one of the wealthiest men in Rome, a trusted advisor to the emperor, owner of vast estates and holder of immense riches. Yet, he didn't go around flaunting his fortune. He lived relatively simply, avoided ostentation, and understood a deep principle: displayed wealth attracts problems. And he was absolutely right. When you share your financial wins, when you show off material possessions, make it clear how much you earn or how much you have, you trigger three destructive forces that can complicate your life in ways you can't even imagine. The first force is envy. Envy is one of the most corrosive human emotions, and it's inevitable when you expose material success. It doesn't matter how close people are to you or how sincerely they claim to be happy for you, envy will surface. It may be conscious or unconscious, but it will be there, slowly poisoning relationships. That friend who's always been close starts seeing you differently after you buy a new car and post it on social media. He won't say it outright, but something changes. Conversations grow tense, subtle comments appear about how you've changed, how money has changed you. The truth is, you didn't change. What changed was his perception of his life compared to yours. And that creates a gap that didn't exist before. The second force is expectation. When people know you have money, they automatically expect you to pay for things, to help financially, to be generous on demand. And if you don't, you become the villain, the selfish one who has money but won't share it. Your personal financial decisions start being judged and criticized by people who have no right to them. The third force, perhaps the most dangerous, is the target you place on your back. When you display wealth, you attract scammers, opportunists, and people with bad intentions who will craft elaborate strategies to get close to you and extract resources. You also become a target of social resentment. People who believe you don't deserve what you have, that you must have obtained it dishonestly or unfairly. Marcus Aurelius, even as emperor, practiced what he called visible moderation. He could have anything, do anything, but he chose not to flaunt it. He understood that true power isn't in showing what you have, it's in controlling what you reveal, and that is genuine freedom. Think carefully. Why would you feel the need to display your material achievements? If you're deeply honest with yourself, you'll realize it's for external validation, for people to see you as successful, as someone who made it, as someone with value. But here's the Stoic truth. If you need others' validation to feel your success is real, then your success isn't truly yours. It belongs to public opinion. Epictetus teaches that external wealth is indifferent. What matters is wealth of character. And character wealth isn't shown by how much you own, but by how you use what you have, by how free you are from the need for approval over material success. Now let's get practical. When you keep your financial achievements private, you live with far more peace. You don't have to manage other people's expectations. You don't have to deal with envy disguised as admiration. You don't have to justify your financial choices to anyone. You simply live, enjoy what you've earned, and keep relationships grounded in genuine connection, not perceptions of financial status. There's also a very real security aspect. The less people know about your finances, the safer you are. That applies to physical crimes like robbery or kidnapping, but also to subtler threats like emotional manipulation and blackmail. Here's something that may change your perspective. Truly wealthy people, those who build lasting fortunes and solid legacies, are discreet. They don't parade luxury cars, mansions, or extravagant trips. They understand that real wealth is quiet. Those who flaunt usually have something to compensate for, something to prove to themselves or to others. Seneca had an interesting exercise. He would periodically live with the bare minimum, simple food, basic clothing, not because he couldn't have more, but to remind himself that he didn't depend on it, that his identity wasn't rooted in possessions, but in character. Imagine the level of psychological freedom that creates. When you don't display your achievements, you also protect your internal motivation. You stop working to impress others. You work for your own goals, your own reasons, your own sense of purpose, and that makes success far more sustainable and far more fulfilling. There's more. When you're discreet about your finances, you attract people for the right reasons. Those who stay in your life aren't there for what you have, but for who you are. Your relationships become more authentic, more honest, more reliable. So here's the Stoic principle. Be rich in silence. Enjoy your achievements without witnesses. Build your fortune without advertising it, and you'll discover that true luxury isn't owning things. It's peace of mind, genuine relationships, and freedom from other people's approval. If you truly want lasting success, learn to celebrate your victories in private. Share them only with the few who truly matter, those who stood by you in hard times, who won't judge or envy you. But to the rest of the world, keep the mystery. Let them think what they want. You owe no one an explanation about your financial life. Wisdom lies in having much and appearing to have little, not in having little and appearing to have much. One builds security and peace, the other builds debt and anxiety. We're almost at the final revelations, and I promise you, what comes next will bring everything together in a truly transformative way. Don't go anywhere. We've arrived at the final 2 revelations, and these are the most powerful of all. If you apply what I'm about to teach you, you'll experience a level of control over your life that most people will never reach. Pay very close attention, because this goes far beyond simply keeping secrets. This is about fully mastering how you interact with the world. The 6th thing you should never share with anyone is your life strategies and your methods for success. At first, this might sound strange, but once you understand the logic behind it, everything falls into place. The great Stoic masters didn't go around teaching all of their methods to just anyone. They were selective, careful, and strategic about who they shared their most valuable techniques with. Marcus Aurelius had specific strategies for leadership, decision-making, and maintaining emotional balance amid chaos, but he didn't openly share all of them. Why? Because the moment you reveal your strategies, you lose your competitive edge. You level the playing field. Worse still, you allow unprepared people to copy your methods without the foundation required to make them work, and then blame you when they fail. Think about great entrepreneurs, brilliant strategists, exceptional artists. Yes, they share general concepts, but they never fully reveal their deepest secrets. They understand that their strategies are the result of years of experience, trial and error, and deep learning. That kind of knowledge can't simply be handed over in a casual conversation. When you overshare how you do things, you also become predictable. And predictability is vulnerability. If people know exactly how you operate, they can anticipate your moves, copy your tactics, or even use your own methods against you. Seneca had an interesting principle: share general wisdom, but protect specific techniques. He taught philosophy openly, but his personal methods of application, his private strategies for dealing with specific challenges, he kept to himself. And that's what kept him effective, relevant, and always one step ahead. There's another critical reason to guard your strategies. It prevents people with bad intentions from using them for questionable purposes. Imagine you've developed a powerful persuasion or negotiation technique. Teaching it to everyone means potentially equipping people who might use those tools to manipulate, deceive, or harm others. Your techniques carry power, and power in the wrong hands is dangerous. This doesn't mean you should never teach anyone anything. It means you must be extremely selective, teach general principles, share broad concepts, but your specific formulas, your detailed processes, your most valuable secrets, those should be reserved for the few who have proven their character and demonstrated that they will use that knowledge wisely and responsibly. And now, we arrive at the seventh and most powerful revelation of all. The most important thing you should never share with anyone is your complete life philosophy and your deepest values. This is the revelation I promised at the beginning, the one that can completely transform your existence. Epictetus taught that our internal principles, our personal philosophy of life, should function like an inner fortress. People can see the results of that philosophy in your actions, your character, and your choices. But the philosophy itself, the deepest values that guide every decision, must remain protected. Why is this so crucial? Because once you fully expose your life philosophy and core values, you become vulnerable to targeted attacks. People will try to dismantle your worldview, they'll challenge your principles, they'll plant doubt at the very foundation that supports your life, and most dangerously, they'll use your own values against you. If you deeply value honesty, someone may exploit that by placing you in situations where you're forced to choose between conflicting truths. If loyalty is your highest value, someone may manipulate that loyalty to push you into decisions that don't serve your best interests. Marcus Aurelius wrote his most profound philosophical reflections in private. His meditations were for himself, not for public consumption. He understood that his deepest values, his personal relationship with the universe, and his understanding of life's meaning were sacred and not meant to be exposed to shallow judgment. When you keep your life philosophy private, you protect it from external contamination. You don't allow other people's opinions to dilute your principles. You don't let criticism from those who lack depth shake your foundation. You preserve the integrity of your worldview. Here's something most people don't realize. The greatest sages in history rarely tried to convert everyone to their philosophy. They lived their principles quietly and allowed others to observe and draw inspiration naturally. True wisdom doesn't need to be announced. It reveals itself through actions, choices, and consistent character over time. Seneca reminds us that it's better to be than to appear to be. When you live your values without advertising them, you become genuinely powerful. Your actions speak louder than any speech about your beliefs, and the right people, The ones who truly matter will recognize this and gravitate toward you naturally. So let's recap everything we've learned today. Never share your grand future plans, your good deeds and generosity, your family problems and private conflicts, your personal weaknesses and vulnerabilities, your material and financial achievements, your life strategies and methods of success, and your complete life philosophy and deepest values. These 7 Stoic principles, when applied consistently, create an invisible armor around you. You become immune to envy, protected from manipulation, and free from the need for external validation. You build a life rooted in substance, not appearances. You develop real strength, not performative strength. And the beauty of it all is this: the more you practice these principles, the more peace you experience. You stop living for an audience and start living with purpose. You stop measuring your worth by what others think and begin measuring it by your own internal standard of excellence. Marcus Aurelius said something profound that sums all of this up. You have power over your mind, not over external events. When you control what you share, when you're strategic about what you reveal, you're exercising that power over your mind. You're consciously choosing how you present yourself to the world while protecting your true essence. Now I want to ask you, how many of these 7 mistakes have you already made? Be honest with yourself. And more importantly, what are you going to do differently starting now? Write in the comments which of these revelations impacted you the most. I genuinely want to know. And if you made it to the end of this video, you're part of a select group of people who truly value deep knowledge. Most people drop off halfway, but you didn't. You stayed until the end, and that says a lot about your character. Now, if you truly want to transform your life using these Stoic principles, I need you to do 3 things. First, subscribe to this channel and turn on notifications. Second, share this video with someone who needs to hear these truths. And third, watch the next 2 videos appearing on your screen now. They'll take these ideas even deeper and give you practical tools to apply Stoic wisdom in your daily life. Remember, silence is golden, but strategic silence is power. Use that power wisely. Protect your inner world and let your results speak for you. I'll see you in the next video, and may you walk with the strength and serenity of the Stoics.